Hello everybody, today I'm simply going to explain the Solov model, and we're not going to look at the specifics where ideas are the driver of growth. We're going to look at the first part of the model where capital is the driver of growth. We're going to look at how this plays into some real world examples and how this can help you think around global economic questions. So this is sort of a textbook example and something I learned way back in business school, and today I'm going to share it with you here on YouTube. This is the foundation of the Solov model and how you draw out the diagram. In this axis we can see K, and that stands for capital. That's the variable. As you go further along the line here, you increase the amount of capital that you have in the economy. And in this axle, denoted with the Y, as you move along this axle, you increase the output of goods in the economy. And before starting to record this video, I pre-drew 3 lines. So I'm going to explain them right here and right now. Let's start with the line on top. This is output as a function of capital. A fraction of capital, you can say. So this is basically the output, how it changes as a function of how much capital you have. And now let's look at this straight line. This line represents depreciation of capital. Let's just denote it like that. And what I mean by this is when you invest in new machinery, infrastructure, whatever it may be, it wears out over time. So if you have a new dam and it's sparkling new today, in 50 years it's going to be old and it's going to need new capital to keep on functioning. Workers who patch up old parts and stuff like that. And roads, they need maintenance, they depreciate. Same with machinery in industries. So this is simply illustrated by the depreciation line right here. And then we have the line of capital invested. Just write it with a simple K here for simplicity again. And these 2 lines, they intersect. And if we look at this line with the invested capital line, we can see that way down here, way early, when you have very little capital and you infuse capital into the economy, a lot happens with output. If you have 3 bakers and no oven, and you suddenly put in an oven as represented by capital, a lot is going to happen with the output. They will be able to fully utilize this, the workforce, and it's going to be very helpful for output and production. But as time goes on, more and more capital is invested, and maybe the 10th oven that you put in this bakery, it's not going to be as efficient as the first one. So it has less effect on the output. And you can think about this in terms of where countries are today, how long they have come in their journey. If you look at the mature economy in Western Europe or in the United States, you can see there's a lot of capital in the economy. They might even be here at the inflection point. And the additional added capital doesn't do a whole lot in terms of generating more output as a relative. And if we look at newer and developing economies, let's say you build a road from a city in Africa out to the coast to transport agricultural products out to be exported. That's going to have a huge impact then we see the effect of the capital investment into the economy. And I'm just quickly going to introduce one last concept here before we finish the video off, and that is the concept of steady state. In this inflection point right here, we say that this is the steady state. This is a theoretical constraint and a liability to the function, because this says that in this steady state, when new invested capital is equal to depreciation rate, then the economy won't be able to continue to grow. So that basically says that growth is limited. And we know that in the real world, this is not the case. But, however, this model helps us explain some concepts that we see out there in the real world. And that's why it is useful for economists and for people who try to think about global economic problems or issues or solutions. And that's when the second part, the further development, the idea you can say, comes in. When we talk about growth in terms of ideas enabling growth rather than capital. But this has been the first part of the Solon model. I hope it helped someone out there. And if you like this type of content, make sure to subscribe to see more about finance and technology. Thank you for listening.